Hey, welcome to the Backyard Blitz. It's Wednesday. Happy new league year, everybody. Today is the day we pop the champagne and turn the page over to the 2023 season. A lot to talk about, fellas.
I think you popped the champagne and turned the page of the 23 season. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm still recovering from a long work day, and BP's over here drinking friggin' bubbly because the NFL season officially rebirthed. I'm like, we got a while, man. We got a long way to go here, but it was a big day in
big couple
the
days
NFL for a lot of teams, man. Like, there was a lot of movement. We'll talk about it, but yeah, I guess we're officially in the new year here, and things are starting off hot. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen this style of energy drink?
Yeah, I've seen it before. I don't think I've ever tried it, though.
Yeah, I've never tried it.
I've never seen it before. Right? A couple of weeks ago at my card show, some dude that was a vendor brought me like a box of these and was like, "Here, I brought you a box of them. Tell me what you think." So there's all kinds of warnings all over it. I've seen a lot of energy drinks before, and like I've never seen an energy drink saying not recommended for people under the age of 18. So this is scaring me a little bit, and if I start, having issues on air, I'll privately message you my wife's number. That way you can tell her to come down and check on me. But yeah, I don't know what to think about it. I always appreciate the free gear though for the free stuff.
Yeah, it's a strange way to try to get us a sponsorship by that energy drink. By the way, that's awesome. No, I've seen those. I never tried them. The other one. Oh, I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's too sweet. Like some of the new ones that have come out are too sweet. If I'm going to do an energy drink, I'm old fashioned. I go Red Bull, man.
Yeah,
that's who I roll with.
Yeah, I'm a Monster, sugar-free Monster, and then C4. I like the C4s because they make my face feel all tingly.
Yeah. How does that work with the blood pressure stuff? Is like that. Like, does the C4
terrible.
like that? Totally
absolutely horrible, bro. I'm on blood pressure meds. I'm on BP meds. Probably not recommended from my doctor, but sometimes you need that little pick me up. It's been a long week at work. I got a lot going on. You know what pisses me off? I got a lot going on that I can't talk about yet because I got a lot of news that I'm ready to just like
boom, just let it loose.
About it yet.
What? So you got a timeline? Like, are you going to tease us every week about this for a while, or is this something that you'll be able to talk about soon?
Well, the one, actually both deals just went official tonight, but I'm waiting for them to announce it before I announce it. So, okay. You don't want to be the first one to break your own news or break your own story.
That's fair.
That makes sense.
Hey, if it's news. And it sounds like it's exciting. We're excited for you, obviously, and we can't wait to hear about it.
Thank you, buddy.
Slick, man, what's going on in your neck of the woods? I know you're down there training some kids and getting it going. I mean, we're just getting 50 degrees here in Idaho, but I know, what are you in the 70s over there already?
Actually, today it was crazy. It was like 70s, 80s the last couple of days. Plus, we're on spring break. But today, for whatever reason, it was like low 60s, high 50s. Like it came out of nowhere. With slight rain.
Feeling like it's Idaho over there, probably. At least you got the humidity. That'll slightly keep you warm. We got this howling wind. That's crazy. I'm supposed to go play golf tomorrow, and that wind better calm down because
how are you playing golf tomorrow, man?
I know,
I can't even imagine what it's like in Idaho. It's like
we got no snow.
Literally, it's our two of our coldest days of the winter have been the last 2 days, and like go figure because spring sports started here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
The wind today wasn't as bad, but yesterday it was probably 40 miles an hour sustained. Man, it was crazy.
Oh, screw that. So when it comes to
Larry,
Idaho,
yeah. So he's doing all right. Hopefully he sent us a text. He sent us a text before the show. Thought he might be able to go tonight, but he said he's going to hold off. Hopefully, he'll be able to go next week.
It was a game time decision.
Everything. So,
it's a game time decision.
He's questionable.
Questionable for next week. We'll have updates on him. Yeah, man, I'm excited for him to come back, obviously. I'm sure that every week that goes by, his one-liners just keep getting more and more. So we'll have a whole show of one-liners when he comes back.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Before we get into this, I got to get this off my chest real quick. Okay. I was shopping outside the Apple store and I witnessed a theft. Okay. And I guess, when it comes to Apple and everything, I guess that turns me into an eyewitness.
Well, that one will probably go over to Prophet's head, but I think
Probably
he would appreciate it.
Probably would. It was for him. It was for him.
No, it was good, man. That was good.
All right, guys. Well, we're into the new league year. And what does that mean? Like, not everybody knows what that means. It's obviously not January 1st. So today is a designated day where it officially turns over to the 2023 season in the NFL, which means all this news that you guys are going to hear about from us and have been hearing about the last couple of days all becomes official. So the last 2 days, you've been hearing about these free agents getting signed and all that. It didn't become official until 4 p.m. Eastern today. And so we're going to talk about them because there's been a lot of movement, some big names in a lot of places. And first of all, the big news today was Aaron Rodgers. What's been going on? What's going to happen? And he went on the Pat McAfee show today and kind of cleared the air a little bit. So what is going to happen, it sounds like, is first of all, he said he thought he was going to retire. Okay. He said 90% before he went into that cave of wonders or whatever that he went into, he was going to retire. And then when he came out of it, he heard from the Packers that they were basically going to move on from him. So then it became like, well, what does that destination looks like? Because he wants to play. And today he said that he has every intention on playing for the Jets and that the compensation's just being worked out. So that's relatively big news because it's coming straight from him that he plans on playing for the Jets this year. There's been a lot of stuff going around. He's got a laundry list of demands, so to speak. He kind of cleared the air on that, said that's not entirely true. But Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Let's talk about that a little bit. It's not official yet because a trade hasn't happened, but it is anticipated to happen within the next couple days that he will be playing there. So Aaron Rodgers getting traded to the Jets within the next couple days. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Because I think it completely changes the landscape there of what's going on in the AFC East. You got Tua, you got Josh Allen, and now you got Aaron Rodgers entering that mix. And it almost feels like the AFC West going into last year, which the Chiefs kind of dominated. But what do you think about this, guys?
I just feel like this is typical Aaron Rodgers fashion. This is weird. When's the last time you guys heard of somebody going on like under contract and announcing that they intend to play for not only a different team, but naming the specific team that they intend to play for, that they're just working out compensation? What if they don't work out compensation?
Yeah.
Now what? Now you're backtracking. He said before he went into his little hiding, he was 90% ready to retire. And then he comes out and he's like, yeah, well, I plan on playing for the Jets, but it's something I really don't have any control over.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a weird situation. It's an incredibly weird situation.
Dynamic of the AFC East, of course. I think, you could argue, there's people that say he's overrated. I think he's a great quarterback.
He's a weirdo.
He's a weirdo. Can't win the big one, whatever. But it'll change the landscape of that game. I just thought the whole situation's weird of announcing your intention to play for another team when it hasn't happened yet. B, you have no control over it. Right. And that, it's just. But again, typical Aaron Rodgers. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Slick? Because I mean, this is one of the biggest names in the NFL. For the last 16 plus years, right? And I think it's also strange, exactly 16 years into Brett Favre's tenure with the Packers, he got traded to the Jets, right? And now it's Aaron Rodgers that's happening to. And it seems like he's welcoming it. He mentioned today, a lot of love for the Packer fans, but it seems like we've been talking about him for the last couple of years being done in Green Bay. So the Jets being the team that he's going to. Slick, what do you think about this? And overall, like, what do you think that it does for the team and all that?
Like I was telling you earlier, I saw something on the screen today on ESPN where it was saying where they got Lazard, and it was a couple other guys that he was trying to get, Odell Beckham, Cobb, and Mercedes Lewis. The fact that he announced the situation the way he announced it, I feel like it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's already been talked about, already kind of like basically confirmed. They just haven't confirmed it to the point to where it's on TV yet for us.
Right.
I just don't feel like he would make that type of announcement if it was questionable. You get what I'm saying? If whatever does happen, if he does get those guys in there that I just named, I feel like it could. I mean, not a Super Bowl type team, but I definitely feel like he can make something happen just because of what the Jets ended up showing like last year, as far as defensively, offensively.
They got some good young talent too. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
I really like Garrett Wilson, and I thought Breece Hall was going to be awesome before he got hurt.
Yeah,
but you see how
they got some young pieces.
ACLs are a dime a dozen anymore.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like they got some decent little pieces over there on offense. And if you add those guys, those vets that I saw them name on top of whatever they get in the draft, I feel like they can do something in that division. Like I said, I don't think it'll be like Super Bowl contenders, but definitely playoff contenders because they almost made it this year, didn't they?
Yeah, they were close. They kind of fell off at the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
But to quarterback play, right? Like Zach Wilson, like that was a whole thing.
Mike White. Yeah. Where did he sign? He signed somewhere.
Where did Mike White go? I saw it too. I can't think of where he went.
I want to say the Chiefs.
Dolphins.
Dolphins? Yeah, it was Dolphins.
Yeah, he went somewhere as a backup, but
it's just crazy, like how that all kind of transpired at the end. Like they obviously want a quarterback, but if you're Zach Wilson, you're going into your third year, right? And the next thing I'm waiting to hear is that his demand to be traded, so to speak. I feel like there might be a market maybe for Zach Wilson out there. I don't feel like his play does that. It'd be more like hoping that you can revamp something. But the way that I just think about this,
backup somewhere.
Yeah,
it'll be a small market, I think, but it'll be a market.
Maybe somebody that missed out on the quarterback sweepstakes that has an injury happen, and they got to get a guy in there potentially, but. What's really crazy to me is, it's the Packers, very prestigious team, going to the Jets, which hasn't been a very prestigious team in a really long time. Like they're so desperate to make it happen. And one of the interesting things about this story is Green Bay literally is not on the time clock to do anything. They know who their guy is going to be, and that's Jordan Love. Now the Jets, however, if this thing happens to fall through and they missed out on some guys in free agency and they don't draft a quarterback, they're in the same spot that they were in last year. And I just feel like for the Jets, the longer that this thing plays out, it's at a disadvantage for them. And Green Bay can sit there and make whatever demand they want. They have all the leverage because they have the player under contract that the Jets want and need really as soon as possible. Like, what do you think about that aspect of it?
Jeff has a good point. I mean, they're kind of Jets might be trying to mortgage the team here to get a Super Bowl under their belt. I think it really comes down to like one honest thing, and who doesn't want to live in New Jersey? I mean, who doesn't want to live in the greatest state in the world?
Wow.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers, you're coming from Wisconsin. It's a big cultural shock, man. You're going from a different style of living to being right outside the big city, man. The lights and the cameras and the action are right on you, and I think he's looking forward to it. So, but no, I definitely think all jokes aside, the Packers got nothing to lose here. And everything to gain, depending on how this compensation package works out. But like you said, the Jets are up against it because if this doesn't work out, it's either Zach Wilson or
it's not Mike White.
Well, somebody like him because he's gone. but
he's gone.
You know, I don't know. Did they draft somebody? They haven't been drafting very well at the quarterback position. So
no, not under this regime. It seems like it's almost a desperation attempt after, you know, what we've seen in the AFC. AFC is really quarterback heavy. I mean, you have your Josh Allens, your Patrick Mahomes, your Joe Burrows, your Tuas. When he's healthy, he plays really well. You know, the question has obviously been his health. So that'll be interesting. I'm excited to see that. But there were some other trades that have just kind of been happening, right? Like over the last few days, we had Jalen Ramsey going to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
And I was surprised.
And this pissed me off. Can I cut you off real quick about the Jalen Ramsey thing?
Sure.
And I blame all your Twitter that you follow on the Backyard Blitz accounts and stuff like that. Because like 2 weeks ago, I got a notification on my phone from like the Backyard Blitz that like,
I'm excited for this.
Breaking news: Jalen Ramsey traded to the Cowboys for so and so, and it looked legit. And I screenshotted it and sent it to my boys. I was like, "Yo, Jalen Ramsey, dude, that's great." Blah blah blah. And they're like, "Oh, that's crazy." I never heard of it again. And then you see he didn't get traded to the Cowboys. And I was like, "Oh, I blame all these fake Twitter accounts that you're following."
Oh, there's so many. There was so many, especially the last couple days.
Man.
It's
because they got me. They got me good, man. So,
there's one out there that you have to watch out for that looks exactly like I think it's Ian Rappaport's, and I think at the end instead of an S, it's a Z, but it has the same screen and everything. They almost got me on one like that. But Jalen Ramsey leaving the Rams to go to the Miami Dolphins. Now the Miami Dolphins are starting to look pretty scary on defense, and we know really, when Tua is healthy, that offense was moving with Tyreek Hill and all that, but only for a 3rd-round pick. The Rams were really desperate to they're in complete rebuild mode. Like Ramsey's gone, Floyd's gone. I wouldn't be surprised here at Aaron Donald to retire. Sean McVay, I don't know what he came back for at this point. But Jalen Ramsey moving over to the AFC, again, the AFC East, where you have these quarterbacks and Aaron Rodgers potentially going to be a part of that. I feel like Miami's going to be tough next year with some of these guys that they got on defense and on offense. Do you guys think that makes them a legit contender with Jalen Ramsey in that secondary?
I like the move with him on the other side of Howard. And I mean, the Dolphins had a lot of pieces as well. Like you said, the fact that Tua wasn't healthy the whole season, that kind of affected the playoff situation and how far they could have went. But if you get him healthy and he stays healthy, or maybe if you draft a quarterback or get another quarterback that can step in and do whatever if Tua does go down again, along with what they have, Dolphins definitely could be exciting to watch this year.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, it comes down to Tua, but I mean, they'll have a really pretty good defense. It doesn't seem like that they lost much.
Yeah.
That they'll be able to. I mean, that's going to be interesting because the Buffalo Bills, they haven't really done a whole lot either, and Miami was giving fits last year. Drew,
I'll tell you what, man. Like with the moves that Miami's making, they're showing that the front office is committed. McDaniel better. That's his name, right? The head coach,
Mike McDaniel. Yep. Mike McDaniel.
He better win next year because if they're putting if they're giving him all these pieces, these little toys and gadgets to play with,
no excuse.
He better friggin' win, because if he doesn't win, there ain't no excuse, like you just said. Because like you said, all right, Tua will come back. Who knows what's going to happen? He's injury prone, whatever. They got Mike White, who's proven himself as a solid backup quarterback that can step in and definitely fill the role. There's no excuse. So if Tua goes down, midway through the season, they expect to keep rolling with what they have on defense and their run game. So
yeah,
I think McDaniel, you'll hear a lot of chirping if they don't start off the season very well with all the moves that they're making.
Sure, absolutely. And Larry, I know you're chomping at the bit because we played GM last week, and our own Drew was the GM of the Bears, and literally the very next day, the Bears trade that number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers, and they got a boatload back, plus DJ Moore.
That was
right?
An absolute king's ransom that the Bears got.
I mean, phenomenal. And they're sitting at 7 now instead of
9. I think
1.
they got the 9.
9. Yeah, you're right. And then the Panthers, like they just signed Miles Sanders. Like they've been signing some guys, and now they got that number 1 overall pick. I mean, man, they're sitting pretty. That was a pretty big move that I feel like kind of shifts a little bit, what the draft is going to look like, because the Bears, I didn't feel like they were going to have to draft a quarterback, and you had, what was it, Will Anderson going there on the number 1 overall pick as an edge rusher. So now the Panthers have that spot.
I don't think they don't get him at 9 now.
No way.
But
no way.
They got so much.
They got a lot.
They got so much to work with. They picked up a number 1. They picked up a number 2. They picked up a 1 next year. Right.
Well, and speaking of number 1, I feel like they got a number 1 receiver too. You guys disagreed with me on DJ Moore, but I think overall
they might have got a number 1 receiver on the Bears. I don't think he's. I don't think he's a top tier receiver in the NFL.
I want to see. He's going to have that number 1 role, right? Yeah. So he's going to have that number 1 role with the Bears. They got Chase Claypool and Mooney.
Now they still have Claypool.
They still have Claypool. So all of a sudden, what didn't look like a very good receiving core before starts to look a little bit more. And I'm sure that they're not done in the receiving department, but that was a big thing. And then on top of it, so moving away from the Bears just for a second, you got another guy that's going to be moving out there to New Jersey potentially, and that's Darren Waller getting traded to the New York Giants, which came out of nowhere.
My big boys in blue, Darren Waller. I'll tell you what, I saw something online yesterday on Twitter that, hey, even Madden wouldn't have accepted that trade.
Oh, and it was red. It was like a small.
Yeah, the bar was red. They said, no, we're not interested in this trade. So Giants made out on that too. Depending on what Darren Waller can get back to, dude, one of the most elusive, electrifying tight ends in the game. Can play a variety of positions, can line up at tight end, can down block on run game, can get out in the open field, can make catches, in the open field, can line them up on the edge, throw deep balls to him, jump balls. If he can stay healthy, that's a hell of a pickup for the Giants, man. For what, a 3rd round pick, I think?
3rd round pick, yeah. Number 100 overall.
Pickup,
100 overall.
The Giants just signed somebody else today too, didn't they? Wasn't it a corner or something? They signed somebody else other than Waller.
Let's see. Well, they did. They did the Daniel Jones. They got Waller. I don't see nothing on the corner.
Well, it could have been something else.
I saw somebody else. Bobby Okereke.
Yeah,
that was the only one.
$40 million.
I thought I saw somebody else today that I saw.
I might not have the most up to date list here, but I'll tell you what.
The Giants trying to make some moves, though.
Yep.
Well, they need to surround.
Listen, they need to surround. I like how I'm holding this thing like this. Like, this is our sponsor. They need to surround Daniel Jones with talent.
They do.
Some more receivers for sure.
He ain't an ace in my opinion. So make him look good. Put guys around him who will make him look good. So they're doing that. They're getting there.
When it comes to this, though, and I really wanted to have this discussion because while it's great for the Giants, I feel like what in the hell are the Raiders doing? Like, you just gave up I would say he's top 3 in the league. I'd say Kittle. I would say Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, healthy, right there.
If he's healthy, I put him at number 2.
I mean,
I like him over Kittle.
Over Kittle?
Yeah, if he's healthy, yes.
Bro,
I do like Kittle, but if Waller's healthy, I like him over Kittle.
I think Waller is probably more.
You're going to see Brandon start to rage.
I like Waller. I think he's a good route runner, and I think Kelsey's on that too. But I just like how Kittle is also really good in the run game. That's why I really like and value him. But I mean, you think about these tight ends, right? Like overall, tight end is one of those positions that if you got one, it changes your offense, right? Yeah. And now you bring in, and we'll talk about it later, but they had just signed Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, just a couple hours before this trade went down?
Yeah.
What does Jimmy like to do? He likes to throw to the tight end. Kittle was his best buddy in San Francisco. And then what do? You trade your best tight end. And you get him out of there. And then you start signing all these Patriot receivers. I don't know what the hell's going on in Vegas.
But you got to ask yourself, BP, like, is there really anything better than a good tight end? And I don't think so in the NFL. So many ways you could use them. Him.
I know. I mean, There's just nothing better. Right? I get it.
Focus.
I got to focus on it. I got to reel it in. But at the end of the day, like if you looked at what their offense was before, right? So you had,
I think this is Spike.
Not Hopkins, Devontae Adams. You had Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, and Waller. Right, that looked really good. Then all of a sudden you get Waller out of there. Then they bring in Jacoby Myers, and then Philip Dorsett's coming in. It's like the old Patriots guys. Yeah. And that's who McDaniels is starting to go after. And meanwhile, they have all these holes on defense that they absolutely haven't addressed. I'm not a fan of only getting a third rounder for Waller. I feel like if you really pressed it and made him available, you could have gotten a 2 maybe for him, and a low 2, but maybe a 2. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, though, Patriots losing all them guys, they went out and got themselves a number 1. Juju Smith-Schuster.
He's not a number 1.
I'm sorry, Ricky. What?
He would be a number 1 for the Patriots. He's not a number 1.
He's a really good slot guy. I feel like that's where he does most of his stuff.
He's a good slot. Possession receiver.
Yeah, but he does a lot of stuff in the slot. He did it for Pittsburgh. He did it for
hard to earn Ricky's
because I'm real like I don't.
He's not your Wes Welker slot guy. But
after AB left the Steelers, he was exposed. I'll put it that way.
Well, who do you have throwing in the ball though?
I mean, I get all of that, but what I'm saying is when AB left, everyone was talking about how they didn't need AB and Juju was going to be able to take over the number 1 spot, and he did it, no matter who was throwing the ball. And for everybody that he's played,
who are you, Emo?
Whoever he's played for, he hasn't been a number 1. He hasn't been a true number 1 receiver since USC. Let's put it that way.
Let's talk about the Steelers real quick, and I know
they've been making some moves too.
Has anybody fallen off quicker than Claypool?
Bro, I don't think so.
Right?
I don't know how that happened. That's weird.
It was like, oh my God, got to get this guy on my fantasy team. Like he's a beast.
Definitely weird.
Who's he play for?
The Bears.
I know that, but
no, I get what you're saying, Drew. It is weird. It is weird how he started coming to his own, making like crazy one-hand catches, and then all of a sudden it's just like,
So just to put this into perspective, Kay, and this is kind of what I'm getting at. Chase Claypool was traded for a 2nd-round pick, 23 draft. He's nowhere near the level of what Waller is, even as a pass catcher or whatever. And Waller was traded for a 3rd. Okay. And Ramsey, same thing, traded for a 3rd. I would say that both of those players are better than Chase Claypool. I don't understand that. That drives me nuts. But we didn't just have trades. Like we had a bunch of trades. We have a whole bunch of free agent signings. And I would absolutely love to go through every single one of them, but we just don't have time for it. And quite honestly, it would get a little old. But in the comments, if you want us to touch on a specific trade, go ahead and hit us up in there. But I want to talk to you guys. What was your favorite free agent move? There's been a whole bunch of them. We can have more than one, obviously. But what was your favorite one that you saw? Hey, I think that's a great fit. We'll start with you, Drew.
Thank you. My favorite move of the day so far, right off the top of my head, I would have to say is the Cowboys releasing Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh man, your buddy's gonna be pissed.
No, I think this is well overdue.
I think it is too.
I think Zeke. It was Zeke's time to go, and I didn't think he was ever gonna go because Jerry Jones, but they franchise tag Pollard. They're giving themselves time to work things out with him, but Pollard proved himself to be the dynamic running back in that backfield over the last season, and I think they had to squeeze Elliott in because they felt like they had to.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't necessarily deserve to be, sharing the workload with Pollard. So I think them cutting that fat, not in a literal sense. Greg, I know he's not fat.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was a good move by the Cowboys, and I don't know what's the shelf life of a running back anymore. I'm sure he'll go somewhere.
Not long.
How productive is he going to be? He probably doesn't have a whole lot of years left, I don't think.
No, I think it really kind of spells the end a little bit. I mean, I'm sure he'll catch on somewhere, right? But Zeke was synonymous with being a Cowboy. Even his look and everything. It's going to be really weird to see him in another uniform. Slick, what was your favorite move overall, like the last couple days as far as the free agents go?
I would have to say either the Tremaine Edmonds move to the Bears or either the Gilmore deal. The Cowboys just got him to put him on the other side of Diggs. Mm-hmm. I like either one of those moves.
So Gilmore to the Cowboys, which
big, man.
That happened. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. And then you got I'm sorry, what was the other? Tremaine Edmonds to the Bears.
The backer,
dude, I'm telling you what, the Bears are making some moves. They're trying to put some pieces around. Tremaine Edmonds, 17th overall free agent ranking. He's only 24 years old. He played really well for the Bills.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good spot because they lost Roquan Smith, right? So they got rid of him. They got some trade compensation there, but then they pick up Tremaine Edmonds. I really like that. I'll tell you what my favorite was. It's going to be no shock, obviously, Drew. But Javon Hargrave to the Niners, I was not expecting at all. Not even a little bit. I wasn't expecting them to spend money in free agency. But to get a guy at a defensive tackle position that really did a great job for the Eagles, I'm really happy with. And then the other one I was really looking at, and I don't know. This one's really, really tough. But where is it here? Draymond Jones. And this is going to the Seattle Seahawks. But the way that they run their defense over there in Seattle, I think Draymond Jones coming over from the Broncos to Seattle is exactly what they needed on their defensive line. And I think that's going to be an absolutely perfect fit for him. So it sucks to see him twice a year, and it's going to be interesting how they use him in Seattle. I think he's going to fit great there. But I thought that was a sneaky, really, really good move. And you're starting to see some of these other free agents that are going back to their, they tested the market for a couple of days, like Fletcher Cox. He's going back to the Eagles. Darius Slay got released, right? So we have some of those things that are going on.
He didn't get released.
He got released. They did.
He didn't get released. He's as of 30 seconds ago is still on the Eagles roster, and they're trying to work something out.
But they said they announced it earlier today that they're expecting to release him, that they couldn't find a trade partner.
Right, 8 hours ago they were expecting to release him, but they never officially announced it, and now everybody's like, "What's going on? What's going on?"
Oh, wow.
And they just came out with they're trying to work out a deal with Darius Slay before releasing him.
Oh wow, like to restructure his contract potentially. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
He's not released. Weren't you the guy during the NFC Championship game and stuff that all he did was crap on the Eagles and stuff like that and say how they weren't good and stuff like that, and now they're overrated and all this stuff, and now you're
definitely thought they were
swooning over a free agent signing because it's your boys, but. No.
So Javon Hargrave coming from I get what you're trying to say, Drew. It's the same story. But Javon Hargrave as an interior defensive lineman coming up with 12 sacks is really big. Just watching his film over the last couple of days after they made the move, he's a really good player. But what's crazy about the Eagles is that they're losing a lot of pieces. And that's crazy about Darius Slay, that they said that they're going to release him, then he's not. And because you got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson that is sitting there, that is, I thought was going to be a high priority for them. So we talked about some of our favorites. What was one of your least favorite moves that you saw over the last couple of days? It either didn't make sense, or you thought was a big mistake of letting that player go to another team. What do you guys think?
Can I go first on this one?
Sure.
Go ahead, yeah.
I'm not a Bucs fan, but I just don't understand the moves that they're trying to make. Levante David, you not let him go, but you kind of let him out, let him just hang out to see what's what. You sign him to a 1-year deal, but then you sign Dean, Jamel Dean, 4-year, $52 million.
Yeah.
What? He's the number 3 DB on pretty much anybody else's defense, including theirs, when their secondary was healthy. And you sign him to a 4-year deal, $52 million, but you can't.
Excuse me.
I don't know.
And he only had, here's the thing, he was top on the free agent list, but he only had 2 interceptions. He doesn't have good ball skills, so to speak.
At all.
he's disruptive at the line of scrimmage, but he also gets a lot of penalties. So I don't know. I'm kind of with you on that. I felt like he might have tested the waters for a second. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go back to Tampa. But overall, what they signed Baker Mayfield today, right, to be their quarterback.
I don't understand that move. I don't understand
Leonard Fournette.
They let Fournette go,
right?
Who else? It's something else. Something else happened today too with them. I don't know. It to me it just seems like I don't know. It's like the Bucs. Like every 10 years, they have that one season where they like are good, and they
had to use Tom Brady to do it.
Exactly. Like, and so now that he's done, and now I feel like everything is going to start doing this way, and the Bucs are going to go back to being the Bucs. And then another 10 years, when all of us are all gray and old, then they'll get another Super Bowl. Somebody will come into play. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing in Tampa Bay. I'm glad I'm not a fan.
And you would think, right, like that there were still some guys there that can play ball. Like they still have a pretty decent defense. I feel like they have weapons. They got Mike Evans still. They still have Godwin, right? Yeah. They had Leonard Fournette. Like, why are they letting him walk? Is weird to me because I felt like he was most of their running game. I know that they have a younger guy. I'm trying to think of his name.
They got White. They got White and Vaughn. They got Vaughn in the draft last year.
Yeah.
And then they have White too. So like I don't get why you let Fournette go because you still don't have a power back.
Right.
You have like between Vaughn and White, they basically kind of like do the same thing. Like White was like a Jones 2.5. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. If it makes sense to them, hey, more power to them.
But I mean, they had Tom Brady
and now you got Baker Mayfield coming in.
Yeah, you go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. Like, if you're a fan of the Bucs right now, you got to be going, wait a second. We don't really have a high draft pick. And we didn't really pursue anybody that was out there like a Derek Carr or even a Jimmy Garoppolo to try to fill that void until you can get a guy to help. I mean, you still have pieces around there. You go with none other than Baker Mayfield, which is
I revert back to the book that I read written by Tony Dungy. It's called Quiet Strength. It's probably one of the only books I've read, but he always said during his time as the head coach of the Buccaneers, he could tell how good they were doing by running out of the tunnel and looking up into the corner of the stadium and see if the stadium was all the way filled out to the corners. If it was, then you knew they were rolling. If it wasn't, then you knew that they were sucking. And I have a feeling that you're going to see a lot of those damn corners for the next couple of years down in Tampa Bay because they're not building it right.
Well, not only that, some of those fans might kind of make that that trek over. How far is Jacksonville from Tampa, Slick, since you're down there?
Like I want to say maybe like 3.
Bro, I'm telling you what Jacksonville's doing compared to what Tampa's doing right now. You're gonna see some traffic. People switching over from the pewter over to the turquoise and black.
Nah, one thing I will say about the Bucs, they like FSU fans. They don't care how trash, how terrible the stadium is. Like it's always an excuse when they're doing bad, when they're doing good. It's always a Super Bowl year or the national champ. Like Bucs fans aren't going anywhere. It's crazy. It's crazy.
What? So Slick, Drew? Sorry. What's one move that either wasn't made or has been made that you're just not a fan of?
I'm not going to I'm not going to pinpoint it to one move, but I will pinpoint it to one team. And it might be a little shocker. The Philadelphia Eagles. I don't love what they're doing right now with this offseason. I'm not sure why they're doing what they're doing. I don't know where they're at cap-wise, but they're letting a lot of talent walk. And the talent that you talk about Slay, like you just go look it up. It's not a done deal yet. He's not released, but they're trying to work stuff out. But
the fact of
you finally got yourself a legitimate run game in Miles Sanders and a run threat, and you let him. He's gone. He's gone to the Panthers, who are having a great couple days here. I just think that the Eagles, like, I don't know. There's a lot of people leaving Philadelphia, which is weird to me. And I don't know
weird.
If it's,
key
something
guys
we don't know about, or they're
super
just
weird.
cutting loose or cutting ties or what it is. But Eagles are kind of a shocker and a little bit of a disappointment the first couple of days here of the new season.
Well, I know that they've been relatively strapped for cash. You know, that's the biggest one. So right now they only have about $6 million in cap space. So Darius Slay, if they do release him, they save about $17 million like right away that they're able to use. Jason Kelce was one that he wasn't sure if he was going to come back. He announced like I think it was Monday that he was coming back, and then they agreed to like a $14.5 million contract for him. They spread it out. They got a voidable year that's in there. But you think about the guys that have left out of that defense. You got Hargrave, which was really one of the interior pieces that allowed an Hassan
Reddick.
Am I still here, guys? There we go. I cut out for 2
You're
seconds.
Good now.
So to allow a Hassan Reddick to have the type of season that he had, and then you had the two corners. You had Darius Slay and then Bradbury. Now Bradbury, didn't they just re-signed him?
Yeah,
right?
they re-signed Bradbury.
They re-signed him, but then you got your safeties. Gardner Johnson's gone, and then they lost the other one to I think it was the Raiders. I can't remember who, but they've lost a lot of pieces.
I'm sure Emo's got it locked down here.
They lost a lot of guys in free agency, including Miles Sanders, which was I think he's a tremendous running back. So it's interesting to see kind of what's going on there. They lost a lot of starters, contributors on that team. So absolutely, I'm with you. Guys, mine is the Las Vegas Raiders. It's the Raiders. I was pumped and I felt really good, and I was patting myself on the back when they signed Jimmy Garoppolo, because when we played our little game last week of being GM, that's who I picked. I thought that was a no-brainer fit for a guy like Jimmy. But then you trade Darren Waller. Okay, that it only makes sense if you get a lot of picks back. They didn't get a lot of picks back. They got a third rounder, number 100 overall. And then they have all these holes on the offensive line and on defense. They have spent the second most money in free agency this offseason. And I don't feel like they have anything to show for it, because did they go get another interior player to help out their run game? No. Did they sign a linebacker? No. Did they really get anybody in their secondary that's really going to make an impact with all these big name players leaving? And they haven't really done anything. So I'm like, 2 days into this, I know that there's a lot more to go on, but right now I'm scratching my head, and I don't understand, because also it sounded like Rodgers in his interview with Pat McAfee today, his destination that he wanted to go to, he wanted to go play with Devontae Adams. And for the Raiders to not capitalize on that situation to get a guy like Rodgers, you got to be kidding me. So I don't know, boys. What do you think about the Raiders offseason so far? Because I mean, it's been lackluster. I know, Drew, you're not a fan of McDaniels, and quite honestly, I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he just keeps shitting the bed in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I could have told you that. Oh, wait, I did tell you that last year. They're just an unattractive team, man. And you got this beautiful new stadium in Las Vegas. They're just boring, and that's how I write these guys up. It's just boring, dude. Like at least you had an identity when you were in Oakland, dude. You had the Oakland Crazies. You had the silver and black. Like, dude, people, you get stuff thrown at you when you would go play there. They had an identity. This team does not have an identity, and they're boring, and they're just bland to me, and they're not appealing in any way, shape, or form. You got a stadium that's gorgeous, brand new, but every home game is 75% the visiting team, because it's a destination. So people are going out to Vegas to watch the games, and they're not, they don't have a fan base, because all the visiting fans are buying up the tickets and stuff. Like, it's just not I don't know, man.
I feel like it's a great place for opposing teams to go visit. Like that. When
it's probably a great place to play as long as you're getting paid. You have fun, go. Nobody really cares about football too much out here. I'm still making millions of dollars, and at the end of the day, I can go hit the strip and play a little poker. Like, sounds like a win-win to me. But as far as being relevant, dude, they're far away.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, Yemo, you're right. It was Epps, and he did sign with the Raiders. So that, I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of pieces that they have to do, and they're still a long way in this free agency stuff, but it's pretty wild. But overall, Jesse Bates, so he went to the Falcons. I'm just kind of going through some of this. The one that's really is interesting to me, we talked about the quarterbacks last week, and I want to revisit this. So Geno Smith re-signs with the Seahawks. You have Jimmy Garoppolo. He goes to the Raiders. And then you have, all these other guys that kind of fall into their places. Jacoby Brissett signed with the Commanders. I think that was today, right?
Yeah, I saw that today.
But we got Lamar Jackson out there, guys. Lamar Jackson is under a non-exclusive franchise tag, and he represents himself. And this is one of those things that I've kind of learned over the last couple of days. So he could not really talk because he represents himself and he's a player. He couldn't talk in the legal tampering period as if he had an agent, right? So he couldn't really do anything until today. But he did tweet out what the compensation that he was looking for.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is 3 years, $133 million.
I saw that.
And I feel like that is almost a no-brainer for his caliber of type of player and quarterback to just sign him. Just get it done. And it hasn't been done. And that to me is for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Like if you're trying to get free agents there, they just I think they re-signed Huntley today. I don't understand what's going on with Lamar. I just don't get it. Maybe you guys can help me out with this, because I just think it's a complete travesty what's happening right now to him.
From what it looks like to me, just with everything that's been going on, especially when he tweeted that out. Now I think it's more of like a pride type deal from the office, basically on some like, yeah, we'll show you type deal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I get from it, because like you said, that's a no-brainer. 3 years, 133. Sign me up. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, like I mean, I get it as fully guaranteed. I understand that with the type of thing that he plays.
You think he should make more money than Mahomes?
Well, Mahomes signed a 10-year deal 2 years ago, so the market's completely different now than it was 2 years ago. I know that he'll make more than
ad nauseum last week. I feel like
it's just
$5 million a year is a lot of freaking money, man.
I feel like it depends.
Somebody who doesn't who is
I
good,
feel like it goes,
but not
I feel like it goes back to what the team needs. Because Daniel Jones shouldn't have signed for what he signed for. Derek Carr shouldn't have signed for what he signed for.
Right.
But again, it goes back to what the team needs. They need those quarterbacks, and for whatever reason, they feel like those guys are worth it. I feel like the Ravens need Lamar Jackson to do whatever they need to do. I feel like he's worth it.
I'm right there with you, Slick, on this. And here's why. Because we see some of these teams, like let's say the New York Jets, and what they're willing to do to get a guy, to get a quarterback. If you don't have one, you're paying to get one. And they literally have one in their building. They've had one in their building for a while. They know the guy. They know what he's capable of. I don't understand with what is left out there right now. Like if you lose a Lamar Jackson, you're not going to be able to replace Lamar Jackson in the draft or whatever it is. It's just not going to happen. So if you're the Ravens, like what does life look like without him right now? And I think you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, I get it's a lot of money, but Geno Smith is getting broke off for what do we about $25 million a year average, right?
105 max.
And that dude hasn't won an MVP. Jimmy Garoppolo got a lot of money. Derek Carr got a lot of money. We've seen other players in this league get a lot of money, and they don't have MVPs, and he does. I understand the play, and I'm critical of him being able to throw the ball and only having one playoff win, but he runs that offense. If he leaves, like that whole team is not the same. It's really not the same. I don't understand it
at all. You saw that. People saw that in the ending of the season when he was out with his knee. I mean, yeah, Huntley did whatever he was supposed to do as the backup, but you could definitely tell that the offense was moving different.
Yeah. Just having to defend a Lamar Jackson's legs, I feel like is an extreme stress on a defense. and what you have to prepare for and not, right? Like the things that he's able to do. I don't know. I'll ask you guys this just real quick, just revisiting. I know we talked about it last week, but after 6 days, kind of seeing the league move the way that it's moved the last couple of days, do you think that Lamar Jackson is a Baltimore Raven next year?
From how he tweeted, it sounded like he was kind of sure, but like you said, nothing still hasn't happened. So I don't know if maybe some things are going on behind the closed doors or what. But I mean, hopefully, if not, like you said, I don't know. Then it becomes a question of what are the Ravens going to do, and who's going to get Lamar Jackson.
I don't know. I see him being a Raven this year. I don't know if I see it any further than this coming year, but like I said, we talked about it last week at length. If anybody offers him a higher deal, the Ravens have the ability to match it.
Right.
They're not going to force their hand. They're not going to show their hand. If they can get him right now at $32 million, which they did, they're going to keep him at $32 million. Now, or is this going to become a personal vendetta going into the years to come? Probably. If he plays this year at $32 million, he's going to be maybe a little bit unhappy, and then he's definitely not going to re-sign with you next year. But I think he got one more year with him, unless they get something long-term done, which who knows? None of us know. None of us know what's going on behind closed doors, but I don't think he's going anywhere, because if anybody comes in and offers him 45, then I think that the Ravens match it, and because they know what they got, but
yeah,
they're just not ponying up for whatever reason. And like you said, all we can do is speculate because we're not there.
Yeah,
I kind of think that it's kind of because he doesn't have an agent and he's not playing ball the way the NFL wants him to play ball. I kind of feel like they're kind of like playing that game where it's like, well, we'll show you type deal, but at the same time,
maybe.
Like we know what we have in you. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I think it's one of those situations. If he had an agent, just because that's what he's supposed to have, because that's the rule or whatever the case may be, I feel like he would have got signed by now by the Ravens. But because he's doing things his way, I don't know.
And to be fair, right? Like, to be fair about this too is like we've seen some other big name players. Like I was a Deebo Samuel last year, and I'm trying to think there was another guy. Oh, I'm trying to think of who it was, but their agent had them remove the team from their like Instagram and basically just kind of put some pressure on the team, like they didn't want to be there no more.
Yeah.
And you haven't heard any of that from Lamar at all. Like, he hasn't been really putting any pressure on the Ravens at all. He's just been saying like, I'm here, like this is what I want. Like, I just want to be, fair about this. Now, when it comes to like the fully guaranteed money and the style of ball he plays, I can't understand it from the team standpoint, but
players,
I don't know.
Players don't have a good track record. Individual players don't have a good track record against the NFL when they try and go into business for themselves. And you don't have to look very far. When you try and go against the machine, they will shut you down.
Yeah.
And they will make sure that you don't get what you want. They'll make sure that if they want, you're never seen again.
Yeah, they definitely do that. They definitely have done that.
Yep. Absolutely. And Yemo makes a good point here. Kyler Murray, he got a hell of a contract. Dude has less of a resume than what Lamar Jackson has. So we'll kind of see how this plays out, and maybe we'll be talking about that. And it could be one of those things that you're waiting on to see what the compensation looks like for an Aaron Rodgers. If you're really willing to move him, right? What does that look like for Lamar Jackson? So that could be one of the things. So there's been a lot of guys signed. We talked through just a little bit of them. It's an extensive list, guys. I'm not going to go through every single one, but there are a ton of players out there, quality players that are still available. So I want to ask you guys, who's a player out there that's still available that A, you're surprised that they're available, and B, where do you think that is a great fit for them? Drew, I know that you're typing away.
Yeah, it would have been nice to give us a heads up on this one, pal. I don't know who's still available.
Hey, before we get to that, I got a question.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Orlando Brown.
Did the Giants make that? The Giants didn't make that trade for D Hop yet, did they?
No, D-Hop's still available.
Okay,
The
I saw
Patriots have been
something where they were
calling
saying
around.
where they were talking about they were thinking about making that trade to get him.
I wouldn't surprise me about the Giants, but also I know the Cowboys are in on him, and also the Patriots
Oh,
potentially.
okay, I didn't see those two. I just seen the Giants.
Yeah, it would be crazy if the Cowboys got D-Hop, because him and CeeDee Lamb would be pretty damn tough to cover out there.
Well,
I don't think they would do it.
Gardner Johnson's going back to the Eagles there, I think that, well, maybe. Who knows?
I think the Cowboys would make that move just because they just gave Gallup that money. And if you bring D-Hop in, that definitely kind of puts Gallup in that number 3 position.
Yeah, but hey, listen, Jerry Jones wants to win, right?
Right.
Jerry Jones wants to win, and he's exited the playoffs twice the last 2 years from the Niners, but once in the wild card, once in the divisional round, and they've had really good players. They've had really good defense, but they just can't get over that hump for whatever reason. Yeah. And the NFC is wide open, right? Like even with the Niners being the team that they are, Green Bay's losing Aaron Rodgers potentially, right? The Eagles are losing a bunch of their players. Like to me, it's really wide open in the NFC, and I can see Jerry Jones making a move and saying, "Hey, like this guy's going to get us over the hump." I mean, they're obviously freeing up some money about Zeke. It's not just a performance discussion; it's a financial discussion too. But who's out there? D-Hop being available.
My guy is still out there but Hopkins isn't. He's not available though, right? He's on the roster still. So.
He's on the roster for the.
Yeah, they were talking about.
My guy Orlando Brown is still out there, who got released by the Chiefs. What today?
A couple days ago.
Yeah, Bears need to get on him. They lost out on McGlinchey. McGlinchey signed with Denver.
The Broncos. Yep.
Yeah. Bears need to make a move on Brown, and they need to do it fast because as like I said, they're making moves. They're having a nice little start to the new year, but protect that man. Protect that man that's back there slinging the rock.
Yeah, and it sounds like he wants. So he's a left tackle. He can play both sides. He's your top offensive lineman that's out there, and I think that's they had the money for him. Orlando Brown, right? Like they have the money for him. I think that's a great spot. Slick, what do you think? Who's out there that you've seen that you think is going to land somewhere and in a favorable spot?
Well, I'm trying to think who's out there right now. That's a big name.
So there's I'll give you a hint here. How about this? I'll share my screen.
I said Clowney got released today. I know he's old as dirt, but I like that. Man. Somebody pick him up.
We'll share this here. So this is a list of the top free agents that are out there.
Oh, Carson Wentz.
Right there. We got Wentz. Ryan got cut. Kenny Golladay, Orlando Brown. This is a big guy right here. Bud Dupree. I'm interested in him. You got Byron Jones. Now, Byron Jones, wasn't he the guy that was talking about like I can't walk?
Getting released.
Yeah, Thielen got released.
Yeah, I saw.
Somebody needs to sign him. Somebody needs to sign him. He's the number one, man.
No,
he's the number one.
He's not.
But why not?
He's not.
Why isn't he? He's a great possession receiver.
Yeah,
I'm surprised nobody signed Taylor one either. Somebody will sign Taylor.
Somebody will get Thielen, but he's a good number 2. He's not a number 1. That's he was able to do what he did with the Vikings because Diggs was there first, and now they have Jefferson. If you remove Jefferson,
he kind of turned into a number 3 with Minnesota this last year, didn't he? Like more so of like a third receiver.
I feel like in some games because KJ Osborne started making a little splash too. I still would have said he might have been number 2, but KJ Osborne did have games to where he kind of took like that number 2 role as well. But he's definitely not number 1.
There's some big names out here, guys. I mean, Leonard Floyd from the Rams. He's a really good edge rusher that's still out there. Frank Clark, just coming off a Super Bowl. He's a 2-time Super Bowl winner, played with the Seahawks before, won twice with the Kansas City Chiefs. 29 years old. Zeke, 27. I honestly, the way that he's run the ball and the way that we've kind of viewed him a little bit, I would almost say that he's 30, but 27. I wonder, just how much of change in scenery might be good for him. I don't know why Tom Brady's on this list. That dude is not playing.
Zeke will go somewhere. I think Zeke will go somewhere on a 1 year.
Where do you think he'd go? Like if you could find a spot for him, what do you think?
Niners.
Get out of here. Go straight to hell. Go straight to hell. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200.
Go 1 year deal. He's a spell.
He's too slow.
I don't like him in Frisco. I could see him I could see him in Chicago.
So they just lost David Montgomery.
That's what I'm saying. I could see him in Chicago. I feel like he would. I feel like he kind of fits there. Huh?
Switching. I see him in Philly.
I could see him in Philly.
Foes, man.
I can see him in Philly
Miles
too.
Sanders. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, Boston." Who's Rashad Penny too?
Rashad Penny, Boston Scott. No way. They just lost Miles Sanders. So wouldn't that be some irony if he went over to Philadelphia? That'd be wild.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
The Lions just lost Jamal Williams too.
I like him, dude.
And DJ Chark.
Yeah, DJ.
The Lions were gonna be like one of my little bit of losers so far today because they lost some quality dudes, but Jamal Williams signing with the Saints.
I can't believe
all that personality too. Man.
Hey, which by the way, him going to the Saints and the trouble that Alvin Kamara, we haven't really touched on that because it's way out there. But I don't think Kamara is going to be playing next year, boys. And I think the Saints know it by picking up Jamal Williams.
Time will tell, my friend.
Time will tell. You got Jadeveon Clowney out there. He's 30 years old. Like there's some really good players that are still available out there. So it's going to be interesting to see where these guys go. Orlando Brown to the Bears, Drew. I like that. I like that a lot. I think
it'll happen.
Oh,
mark my words.
I'll show you in a second. So we got to get to our hot shots, you guys. We got to get our hot shots.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
That time is the hot shot of the week. We've talked about all that stuff already, man. We're an hour in. There's going to be some more stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if there's news that we missed during the hour show, but we got our hot shot of the week. Let's start it off with Slick, man. Who's your hot shot this week, man?
Actually, my hot shot goes to two things. Number one, myself. I forgot it was my birthday on the 6th, and I did give myself a hot shot.
Oh,
bro!
No, I gave you a hot shot last week.
You forgot it's your own birthday?
When we were on the show, I wasn't even thinking about it. I gave you a hot shot.
You gave me a hot shot. I thought that was cool. My whole family was talking about, man, that was so cool.
My birthday was the 6th. And just a hot shot to all the March birthdays.
There you go.
So that's what mine.
St. Patty's Day. Little St. Patty's Day slime check.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, happy belated birthday, man. How old are you these days? 29, 30?
I wish I was still 29.
29, looking fine.
No, I just turned 38.
Old as fuck. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm right there.
Hold on.
I'm right there along with you, bro.
No, you got me what? You got me by a year, don't you? Oh, he froze.
Oh, he froze.
On
what
purpose.
A perfect time to freeze.
On purpose.
Brandon.
No. I am 39. I'll be turning 40 this year, guys.
BP, you're 39?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Can we talk about oh my God.
BP has me by a number, yeah.
Can we talk about a questionable TikTok that I saw you the other day?
Hey,
and I want to.
My wife posted this. You should have pulled it up. We should have pulled it up.
I'm cool.
Was he dancing?
You wanted.
I was ballerina dancing.
Brandon had no shirt on, completely in the flesh. Absolutely not like I remember you, by the way, in Germany. And you got tights on, and you're dancing around like a little tutu ballerina doing twirls in the air. And I said, I get it for the kid. As dads, we do things for our kids. But I was eating sour cream and onion chips, man, and I just threw up in my mouth. I was like, what is this nonsense? And no, that was funny. That was funny.
My wife.
My hot shot of the week. Go ahead.
My wife.
You want to explain yourself or no?
Yeah, my wife posted that. Number one, what's supposed to happen in the house stays in the house. She's got social media and all this stuff. So next thing I know, I noticed that she's taping me. Yeah, she's. I'll cue it up, man. I got no shame with this thing. But we just got back from the Nutcracker. We took Berlin to go see the Nutcrackers over Christmas, And
Ricky,
the stupid song was stuck in my head, so I started playing it and I started dancing around, man. It was something else.
I'm going to try and pull this up while I'm giving my hot shot of the week.
Oh, God.
My hot shot of the week goes to the St. Louis Battlehawks, baby. Like the XFL. 44,000 people they had at the stadium this week for their game. That place, you turn it on, you would never know you were watching an XFL game. I think it just goes to show that the city of St. Louis is dying for
another team,
for a football franchise again, man. It was fun to watch, but here we go. I'm not connected to my internet. But,
it's rough. It's rough there, Slick. I don't look anything, especially in the midsection, the way that I used to, you know?
Oh, my God, bro. It's freezing, of course, because I turn all my internets off.
Oh, it's got the ass crack going out there, you know?
You got plumber's crack. I'll save the rest.
Oh, man.
The things we do for our kids, right?
I'll tell you, and my kids laughing in the background, which makes it completely worth it, man. The battle
daughter in the background was great, man.
Oh, this is the best. The Battlehawks, man. It's been that was good. 44,000. All right, so this I got to try to change that subject, man. I'll tell you what. So okay, I accidentally pulled this up a little bit earlier, and this is unless you're tuned in to kind of what's going on with the 49ers all the time, you might miss this. They did this thing on this lady a couple different times. I think in the Seahawks playoff game, they did this little introduction to who this lady is and things that she's done. So I'll just kind of break this down for you guys. So Jimmy Garoppolo has been a guy for the 49ers for a long time. Well, when the 49ers traded up to go get Trey Lance, obviously there was this big thing, and this lady, her name's she goes off her Twitter handle called Rita Oak, and she started doing these drawings of Jimmy Garoppolo, and she started like every day. I'm drawing Jimmy G every day until he gets traded, and obviously it went all of 2021 season and into this last year of when he was going to get traded, and he has it. So she did this for it was 409 days that she did a drawing every day on Jimmy G. Well, finally he goes to the the Las Vegas Raiders. But I wanted to show you guys, since you guys probably haven't seen this. I mean, she does these drawings like every single day, and some of these were just so funny. I mean, you got the 40-year-old virgin, 31-year-old backup here, the pursuit of happiness, Brock Purdy being a little kid with Jimmy right there. You have the tape with talking about the NFL on singing, help out, but super funny. Like the 49er fan base gets really kind of crazy sometimes about the quarterbacks and whatnot. And this was super funny. And Drew, I put this one in there for you. The one where when he came back against the Seahawks, when Trey Lance got hurt, this was the very next Monday. She drew him as the Undertaker outside the wrestling ring.
Yeah, coming back out of the casket.
Yeah, so I got to give a shout out. My hot shot of the week is Rita Oak. I can't believe 409 days of having these different drawings and all that stuff. Super cool. So toast, Rita Oak. My hot shot of the week, that was super entertaining every single day, and it's kind of sad, like waking up today, going to look at what the drawing was, and it's just not there anymore. So my hot shot of the week,
man. That's impressive stuff. That's good work.
Oh man, you gotta go check him out on Twitter. Well, and she's from Portugal, which is really cool, and they flew her out to San Francisco. She'd never been to the United States, I don't think. Definitely not to San Francisco, and she got sponsored by Gold Bar Whiskey. And they took her around the stadium, had her meet the players. And I think George Kittle's profile picture on Twitter is from one of her pictures as him as Cartman or something like that. I just thought it was super cool, man. It's super unique.
Yeah,
and
that is cool.
Pretty cool, man.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, that's the show.
Another week in the books, boys.
Another week in the books. There's going to be more to talk about. Next
Hopefully
week,
we can get our fourth Musketeer back next week.
Yeah, yes, I miss him, man. I miss
oh my god!
Fourth.
I just opened my TikTok by accident. And
fourth member of the Wolf Pack.
I'm flying around in my shorts.
All right, boys. Another crazy week ahead, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll be good. I can't wait. Spring break next week for you guys.
My spring break is right
April,
now.
April something.
Damn, ours is next week, so that's weird how it's different everywhere. But
maybe I'll have some. Maybe I'll be able to shed some light on the news next week. We'll see.
I can't wait to hear about it. Can't wait to hear about it. Well, until then, you guys, Man, I can't believe you pulled up that video.